Folks, gather round the campfire, and let me take you on a wild ride back to a time when desert nights were colder than a gambler's heart, and every day brought a new chance for adventure or danger. On a lonely stretch of dusty trail, a quiet cowboy stumbled upon a young woman at death's door, her life hanging by the fangs of a vicious rattler. Little did he know he was about to save a life that would change his own fate forever. Because that woman, she was no ordinary traveler. She was the daughter of one of the most feared lawmen in the territory. Dust storms swirl on the horizon, painting the wide-open sky in hues of fiery orange and ash gray. Under that relentless sun, Sam Buckshot Morgan, a lone cowboy of about 30, rides his sturdy buckskin mare, Daisy. The horse's ears flick every so often as small whirlwinds of grit and tumbleweed dance across the desert floor. The land is as unforgiving as a bounty hunter's pistol, but Sam has wandered these parts long enough to know every rock cactus and trickle of water from Santa Fe to Tombstone. Sam is a quiet man. Many have called him stoic. He doesn't share much about his past. Only a few folks from his old town of El Paso recall that Sam grew up an orphan and learned from an early age how to survive on scraps and grit. He worked on the Chavez Ranch near the Rio Grande as a teen and learned the ways of roping, riding, and reading the land. After that, his life became a solitary drift, always looking for the next horizon. Despite his reputation for saving a rancher's daughter from a flash flood 2 summers back, Sam never sought recognition or applause. He simply did what needed doing, the same as always. Folks whispered that he was the type of cowboy who'd come and go like a stray gust of wind, leaving only rumors behind. One rumor claimed he once shot a man in a duel at high noon, some gambler out of Santa Fe. Another story said he single-handedly wrangled a posse of wild Mustangs on a dare from a traveling rodeo. The truth was somewhere in the middle, overshadowed by Sam's quiet sense of purpose. On this scorching afternoon, the desert ahead seems to ripple with mirages. Daisy plods forward, snorting in the dry air, while Sam's eyes remain vigilant. Rattlesnakes, scorpions, and outlaws can make the next bend a lethal proposition, and sometimes you stumble upon trouble you never expected. As the sun begins its slow descent, Sam spots something unusual up ahead, a solitary figure lying in the dust, unmoving. A battered horse stands a few paces away, reins dragging on the ground. Sam's heart catches in his throat. Out here, if a person is down, it's usually too late for them, but he won't ride on by without checking. Pushing Daisy into a careful trot, Sam approaches. The figure is a woman younger than he is, with tattered clothing that looks more functional than fashionable. She's covered in dust, her skin pale and clammy. Sam swings off. Daisy kneels and feels for a pulse. It's there, faint but present. His gaze falls upon her swollen ankle, marred by 2 dark puncture wounds, a rattlesnake bite sure as day. The desert is cruel, but Sam has some knowledge of treating bites, thanks to the late Dr. Benjamin Green of El Paso, who once showed Sam how to remove venom after a ranch hand got bit. Sam rummages through his saddlebag for a knife, a clean bandana, and his canteen. Gently, he lifts the woman's foot and examines the wound. The flesh is already discolored. She must have been lying here for hours. Working with the steady calm of a man who knows time is short. Sam ties a tourniquet above the bite to slow the venom's spread. He cleans the wound with water, carefully cutting just enough to coax the poison out. The woman moans but doesn't fully regain consciousness. She's delirious with fever. Sam sprinkles a few drops of whiskey from his flask into her mouth, hoping to bring her around. "This is gonna hurt," he whispers as though she can hear him. With meticulous skill, he extracts as much venom as possible, spitting it away into the dust. He cleans and bandages the wound, then lays her leg flat. He notices something else, too, a pistol hidden beneath her coat. It's small, but well maintained, and the grip bears an engraving EL. This is no ordinary traveler, he thinks, although there's no time for deeper pondering right now. She needs a safe place to rest and hopefully recover. Pulling her onto Daisy takes all his strength. Sam carefully positions her in front of him, securing her so she won't fall. He then takes the reins of her horse, a brown mare with a brand from Randall's Ponderosa, a ranch near Santa Fe. He's heard of the place, but doesn't recall the owner's name. As the sun dips below the crimson line of the horizon, Sam kicks Daisy into a gentle lope, heading for the nearest trading post or watering hole. He isn't sure where to go exactly, but he knows there's an outpost called Flagton Station, a few miles west near a creek that runs year-round. If the station's caretaker, old Otis Flagton, is still around, there might be a place to get the woman some rest, and maybe a doctor. Dusk settles over the desert, bringing with it a slight relief from the heat, though not the tension. Sam keeps a careful eye on the woman who shifts between consciousness and delirium. She mumbles incoherently. Sometimes he catches snatches of words. "Father Badge, stop them." None of it makes sense yet, but he files the information away, ready to piece it all together later. When Flagton's station finally emerges in the distance, Sam breathes a small sigh of relief. The station is a ramshackle collection of huts and lean-tos, once a busy stagecoach rest stop before the railway shifted traffic elsewhere. Otis Flagton is an old man rumored to have run away from a wealthy life back east to chase the gold rush dream decades ago. He never struck gold, but he built this station to supply travelers with water horse feed and a roof if they had the coins to pay. Tonight it looks quiet, just a single lantern glowing by the barn. Sam dismounts, carefully, lowers the unconscious woman, and calls out, "Otis, you here?" A bearded man in patched overalls appears holding a rifle. He squints at Sam, then at the woman in his arms. "Well, I'll be," Otis mutters, setting the rifle aside. "Looks like you done found yourself some trouble, Morgan," Snakebite Sam says, shifting the woman's weight. "I need to bed some water and maybe your help." Otis leads them inside a wooden shack that smells of dust and horse sweat. There's a small cot in one corner. Sam gently lays her down. Otis fusses over a pot of water heating on a wood-burning stove. "She's in bad shape," Otis says, glancing at her ankle. "You do your best with the venom." "Yeah. She's still burning up, though. Might be infection setting in." Otis's wrinkled brow furrows, and he grabs a small tin box from a shelf, a rudimentary medical kit with bandages, salves, and a couple of vials. "I got a bit of laudanum left," he offers. "She might need that for the pain." Sam hesitates, but nods. He's no doctor, and out here choices are limited. Otis administers a careful measure, and the woman moans softly as the analgesic takes effect. Her breathing steadies, though her skin is still clammy. "Stay the night," Otis offers. "No sense riding off in the dark." Sam agrees, unsettled but determined. After tending to the horses, he checks on the woman once more. Her face under the flicker of the lantern reveals delicate features. Dust and grime cling to her cheeks, evidence of days on the road. But there's also a hardness around her jawline, suggesting she's no stranger to adversity. He notices her clothes more closely now. Men's trousers, a loose shirt, and a vest that has seen better days. It's dusty but of decent quality, the fabric woven tightly, likely from a good tailor. Her boots are scuffed but expensive. None of this matches a typical ranch hand or a drifter. The pistol with the EL engraving also nags at his mind. As the night deepens, Sam tries to sleep in a corner, but rest doesn't come easy. Snatches of memory haunt him his rough childhood, the times he'd been left for dead by bandits, the moment he pulled a friend from quicksand. He wonders if there's a bigger plan at work, if fate brought him here to save this woman. At daybreak, Otis is already up boiling coffee. The woman hasn't stirred, though she looks slightly better. Her fever seems to have broken. Sam sips the bitter coffee, looking out a small window to the blazing sunrise. He's never been much of a talker, but he finds himself speaking to Otis. She was talking in her delirium about a father and a badge, Sam says. Sounded like she's got trouble behind her. Otis shrugs. Plenty folks run from trouble in these parts. Might be a bounty on her head. Might be she's running from an abusive husband. Who knows? Sam nods, unsure of what to believe. The only thing he knows for certain is that he's got a half-dead stranger who might hold secrets as deadly as the rattlesnakes themselves. By midday, the woman finally stirs her eyelids, fluttering open. She tries to sit up, but immediately grimaces in pain, clutching her bandaged ankle. Otis rushes over, offering water, while Sam stands at the foot of the cot. She looks from Otis to Sam, confusion clouding her expression. "Where am I?" she manages to croak. "Flagton Station." Otis replies gently. "You had a run-in with a rattler. This fella here saved your hide." She turns her gaze to Sam. Her eyes a striking shade of hazel flecked with gold. "Thank you," she whispers. "I owe you my life." Sam simply nods. He can sense her pride, how the admission might not come easily. "Name's Sam Morgan," he says quietly. "You got a name?" She hesitates, and Sam wonders if she's about to lie. Finally, she exhales, deciding to trust him. "Evelyn. Evelyn Lancaster." Otis and Sam exchange glances. Lancaster. The name rings a bell. "Any kin to Ulysses Lancaster, the U.S. Marshal stationed in Santa Fe?" Otis asks. Evelyn's eyes flash, and she pulls herself upright. "He's my father," she confesses. Voice tinged with apprehension. "But you mustn't tell a soul. There are dangerous men after me." Sam's blood runs cold. Ulysses Lancaster is a legendary lawman rumored to be as relentless as a bloodhound. He's cleaned out entire outlaw rings in Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. If she's his daughter, it means trouble. "Why are you out here alone?" Sam presses, not unkindly. And dressed like that, Evelyn's cheeks flush. She glances at her attire, a dusty ensemble of men's clothing. I didn't want anyone recognizing me. Let's just say I overheard some men planning something terrible. Something that could cost my father his life. Or me mine. Otis sets down the cup he's holding. "Might be best if you start from the beginning, Miss Lancaster." Evelyn inhales shakily, wincing as her ankle flares with pain. "I'll tell you what I can, but it's not safe for you to know too much." Sam crosses his arms, waiting. Evelyn rubs her eyes, struggling to focus. "A week ago, back in Santa Fe, I stumbled upon a group of men in my father's office. I was hiding, listening. They were discussing an ambush on a law enforcement convoy, carrying gold and documents. My father had confiscated them from a powerful gang called the Blanchard Boys. They're an outlaw band run by Royce Blanchard, a vicious man who'll stop at nothing to reclaim what was seized. She pauses, looking worried that she's said too much, but continues. I ran away because one of the men saw me. I heard them say they'd use me as leverage against my father if they could catch me. I thought if I could get the evidence to Fort Garrison, maybe the cavalry there would help. But I got lost, and then that snake bit me. Next thing I know, I'm here. Sam digests the information, and Otis whistles softly. Blanchard boys. They've terrorized half this territory. If they want her, they'll be on her trail for sure. Evelyn's eyes lock on Sam. I know you've risked a lot already, but I need help to get to Fort Garrison, or at least to the next town with a telegraph so I can contact my father. He has no idea I'm out here. Sam feels a protective instinct stirring within him. He can sense her vulnerability and determination. He knows what it's like to live life on the run. But traveling with the daughter of a legendary Marshal puts a target on both their backs. Still, he recalls how she'd have died alone if he hadn't come along. The code of the West, at least for men like Sam, demands you see something like this through. All right, he says finally. But first we need to let you heal a bit. Evelyn nods, relief evident in her eyes. She glances at her bandaged ankle. Thank you, she murmurs. I know it's no small favor. They agree to stay at Flagton station for a day or two, giving Evelyn time to recover. In that short window, Sam readies supplies, water rations, fresh bandages. If they're heading into Blanchard boys' territory, they'll need to be prepared for anything. That evening, the air is cooler, and Otis rustles up a simple stew of beans and salted pork. Evelyn manages to sit by the small table, still wincing with every movement. Sam sits across from her, eating quietly, occasionally catching her eye. He notices that even in her weakened state, there's a certain grace about her, a determination that reminds him of the strong ranch women he's known, but also the cunning of someone who's grown up around law enforcement. Midway through dinner, they hear the approach of horses. Sam and Otis exchange a look. Unexpected visitors at this hour usually mean trouble. Sam moves to the window, carefully peering out. He sees 4 men dismounting, each armed. Their figures are outlined by the faint moonlight. He quietly warns Evelyn, who goes pale. Could it be the Blanchard boys? Or just travelers seeking lodging? Sam pats his revolver, making sure it's loaded. Stay here, he tells Evelyn. Keep your pistol close. Otis steps outside first, with Sam close behind. The lead rider is a tough-looking hombre with a scar across his chin. He eyes Otis and Sam suspiciously. Evening, Otis calls. We're closed for the night unless you got an emergency. The man with the scar spits into the dust. Name's Clyde Atwood. We're tracking a rustler. Some woman on the run. He lifts a battered piece of paper that might be a wanted poster, though Sam can't quite read it in the dim light. We heard she might have come through this way. Sam's blood runs cold. He's not sure if the Blanchard boys have official wanted posters or if this is just a ruse, but he can't let them suspect anything. Ain't seen no woman. He lies his voice level. Clyde glances at Sam, taking in his dusty attire and the rifle slung across his back. You sure about that stranger? We got reason to believe she'd be in these parts. Otis shakes his head. I'm the only one here, mister. Unless you count a couple of drifters passing by earlier today. Clyde steps closer, trying to peer into the building. Sam shifts to block his view. The tension thickens like a thundercloud ready to burst. After a few seconds of locked stares, Clyde shrugs. We'll be moving on then, but if you see her, you give us a holler. There's a reward in it, dead or alive. They mount up and ride off, leaving a swirl of dust. Sam doesn't breathe easy until the sound of hooves fades into the distance. When he returns inside, Evelyn is gripping her pistol, fear etched on her face. "Who were they?" she asks shakily. Sam relays the conversation. "Could be bounty hunters or outlaws in disguise," he says. "Either way, they're trouble. And they're looking for you." Evelyn sets her jaw. "That means we're not safe here." Otis nods, his expression solemn. "I'd offer to keep you hidden, but it won't take them long to figure out I was lying. This place isn't fortified." Sam agrees. It's only a matter of time before they return with more men or search the station thoroughly. "We leave at first light," he decides. "We'll head north, skirt the desert, and try to reach Fort Garrison." Evelyn doesn't protest. She knows the severity of the situation. As everyone settles in for a sleepless night, the weight of what lies ahead bears down on them like a stagecoach loaded with gold. The next morning, they pack provisions in intense silence. Evelyn struggles to stand, but she's determined to travel. She braces herself with a makeshift crutch that Otis fashioned from an old broom handle. Sam helps her onto her mare, instructing her to take it slow. "I can ride," she insists, though her voice wavers from pain. Otis stands by worry, etched into his sun-beaten face. "You'll better keep to the dry gullies and avoid main roads," he advises. "There's a telegraph office in Red Mesa, 3 days' ride from here, if you push it. Might be safer to send a wire to Ulysses Lancaster from there than risk riding all the way to the fort." Sam nods. "Thank you, Otis. You've done more than enough." They mount up and head out, leaving Flagton station behind. The desert stretches out before them, blazing under the merciless sun. As they ride, Sam keeps scanning the horizon for dust trails that might signal riders following them. Their progress is slow due to Evelyn's injury. She tries to hide her discomfort, but Sam notices her stifled winces. During a water break near midday, Evelyn finally speaks up about what's weighing on her mind. "Sam," she says, her voice low, "I can't ask you to risk your life for me. If you want to leave me somewhere safe, I'd understand." Sam stares into the distance, the line of the horizon shimmering. "My father always said, we do what's right, not what's easy," he replies quietly, recalling the ranch foreman who was the closest thing to a father he had. "I'm in this now. Let's see it through." A trace of a smile touches Evelyn's lips. She seems more at ease knowing Sam isn't about to abandon her. They travel until dusk, finding a sheltered ravine to camp in. After a simple dinner of dried beef and biscuits, Evelyn tries to rest, but nightmares plague her. She tosses and turns, calling out for her father in her sleep. Sam keeps watch, rifle in hand, mind racing with half-formed plans to outmaneuver the men hunting them. Around midnight, the moonlight casts the ravine in silver shadows. Sam hears a distant gunshot echo across the desert, too far to be an immediate threat, but close enough to set every nerve on edge. They're being hunted, and the question is not if they'll be found, but when. Day 2 of their journey to Red Mesa dawns bright and dangerous. They ride early to avoid the worst heat. The path is rocky, weaving through canyons that funnel the wind into eerie howls. Evelyn's ankle still throbs, but she bites her lip and persists. By midday, Sam spots something that makes his heart pound, fresh hoof prints in the dusty ground. More than one horse, maybe 3 or 4. They look recent. Could be Clyde Atwood and his crew. Sam mutters, "We need to be careful." They press on, minds alert. To every sound, Suddenly, a rifle crack shatters the stillness. A bullet ricochets off the rocks near Evelyn's mare. The horse rears, nearly throwing her. Sam wheels Daisy around, scanning the ridge above. There, silhouetted against the sun, is Clyde Atwood, rifle in hand. 3 men flank him. They have the high ground. Another shot rings out, grazing a boulder near Sam's left. "Ride!" Sam yells, spurring Daisy. He fires a couple of rounds from his revolver, but the men are partially hidden behind rocks. Evelyn grips her reins and tries to urge her horse forward, but her injured leg makes it hard to hold on. Sam rides up beside her, helps steady her. "Hang on," he shouts. Bullets kick up dirt around them. They gallop down the canyon, weaving around large stones, the echo of gunfire reverberating. Sam checks over his shoulder. The men give chase from above, taking shots when they can. The advantage is theirs. There's no easy way to return fire uphill without exposing themselves. The canyon narrows, and Sam sees a chance. There's a crevice to the left that might provide cover. He signals Evelyn, and they swerve into the gap, ducking out of sight. Rocks tumble behind them as their pursuers navigate the steep terrain. In the relative safety of the crevice, Sam helps Evelyn dismount. Her leg trembles, and she can barely stand. He draws his rifle, stepping to the edge of the rocks. If they come down, he thinks grimly, "I'll pick them off one by one." But the canyon remains silent, except for the whisper of the wind. After a tense wait, Sam realizes the men might be trying to circle around to cut them off. They can't stay here forever. "Come on," he whispers to Evelyn, helping her remount. "We'll head deeper into the crevice, see if it leads out somewhere." The rocky passage twists and turns, barely wide enough for a horse. In some places, Sam and Evelyn have to dismount and lead the animals. It's grueling, and Evelyn's face is contorted with pain, but she doesn't complain. Eventually they emerge on the other side of the ridge, far from where the gunman last saw them. Sam urges a steady pace, watching for any sign of pursuit. Only when the sun leans toward the west do they pause. Breathing heavily, Evelyn looks at Sam with gratitude and exhaustion. "We might have just avoided a massacre," she says, voice shaky. Sam nods. "We can't let our guard down. They'll be back." He scans the desolate land. A tumbleweed bounces across the cracked earth. They might be safe for the moment, but they still have a day's ride to Red Mesa. Night falls, and they set a small, discreet camp behind a rock formation. Sam spares a moment to examine Evelyn's ankle. The bandages are dusty, and the swelling hasn't gone down much. He cleans it gently, applying salve from Otis's kit. She hisses at the pain. "I'm sorry." She breathes, eyes squeezed shut. Sam's voice is soft. "Nothing to apologize for. You're doing your best." For a second, their gazes lock. Something unspoken passes between them, a shared sense of survival and precarious closeness. But just as quickly, Sam turns away, focusing on the tasks at hand. As he stokes the tiny fire, Evelyn takes a small photo out of her coat pocket, gazing at it quietly. The flickering flames illuminate an image of a stern-faced man with a bushy mustache. It must be her father, Marshal Ulysses Lancaster. She notices Sam watching. He wasn't always so grim, she murmurs. "My mother died when I was young, and he poured everything he had left into being a lawman. He wanted the West to be safer for me, for everyone." Sam nods. "I heard stories about him. Even out in El Paso, folks knew the name Lancaster. He's cleaned up more outlaws than a dozen lawmen combined." Evelyn's eyes glisten. And that's why the Blanchard boys want him gone. They think if they can break him, they can break the will of the entire U.S. Marshal's service in this territory. Silence falls, broken only by the crackle of the fire. Sam stares into the flames, remembering his own ghosts. "I never knew my parents," he finally says, surprising even himself with the admission. "I grew up on a ranch, then drifted from place to place. No sense of home. People always say the West is the land of opportunity, but it's also the land of heartbreak." Evelyn meets his gaze, sympathy in her eyes. "I guess we both got dealt tough hands," she whispers. Sam shrugs, his expression guarded again. "We just do what we must, I suppose." A hush settles between them. Eventually they bed down, though Sam stays half awake, every nerve on alert for footsteps or hoofbeats that signal danger. They set out at first light, pushing the horses through rugged trails. By late afternoon, the outline of Red Mesa emerges a dusty frontier settlement with a few scattered buildings, including a modest telegraph office near the old railroad stop. Sam and Evelyn approach cautiously. The main street is quiet, except for a pair of loiterers by the saloon, and a weather-beaten woman sweeping outside a general store. Evelyn keeps her hat pulled low, hair tucked away to avoid attention. They head straight for the telegraph office, an unassuming shack beside the train tracks. Inside, a wiry man named Amos Clary sits behind a desk piled with telegram forms. He eyes them warily. "What can I do for you?" he asks, scratching his grey whiskers. Sam steps up. "Need to send a wire to Ulysses Lancaster in Santa Fe." "Urgent." Amos nods, fishing out a form. 50 cents per 10 words, plus a rush fee if you want it prioritized. Sam scrawls a hasty message. "Marshal Lancaster. Urgent. Stop. Found Evelyn safe but in danger. Stop. Clyde Atwood. Possible. Blanchard boys. Chasing stop. Request immediate assistance. Red Mesa or Fort Garrison stop. Sam Morgan." He hands over the coins and Amos transcribes it on the telegraph. The machine clicks and clacks, sending the message out into the ether. "Any idea when we might get a response?" Sam asks. Amos shrugs. "Hard to say. Could be an hour, could be a day." Sam exchanges a look with Evelyn, whose eyes betray her anxiety. They step outside into the fading daylight. "We'll need somewhere to hole up," Sam decides, "at least until we get a response." They find a small boarding house run by an older widow named Margaret Hilburn. She's suspicious of strangers, but relents after Sam pays for 2 separate rooms. "No trouble, you hear?" she warns, wagging a gnarled finger at them. Night drapes over Red Mesa. A single row of oil lamps lights the main street. Sam sits by the window in his rented room, scanning the shadows. Evelyn's room is adjacent, and he can occasionally hear her pacing. They're both tense, waiting for news from her father. Or worse, an ambush. Around midnight, Sam hears a light tapping at his door. He opens it, finding Evelyn leaning on her crutch. She glances over her shoulder as though someone might be listening. "Sorry," she whispers. I can't sleep. Can I stay here for a bit?" He nods, stepping aside. Evelyn hobbles in, sinking into a chair, wincing at her ankle. The flickering oil lamp casts dancing shadows. "Every time I close my eyes, I see those men on the ridge," she murmurs, wrapping her arms around herself. "I can't bear the thought that my father could be walking into a trap." Sam leans against the dresser, arms folded. "We did our best to warn him," he says, though his tone is subdued. We'll know soon enough if he got the message. She looks up at him, her hazel eyes reflecting both fear and gratitude. Thank you, Sam. I owe you. Well, everything. He shifts uncomfortably. Just doing what's right, he repeats, trying to keep an emotional distance. But in the silence that follows, they both realize they're tangled in more than just a rescue mission. A gunshot suddenly rings out from the street below. Sam lunges for the lamp, dousing the flame. Evelyn gasps, heart pounding. They move to the window, peering through a crack in the shutters. Down in the street, a figure lies crumpled near the telegraph office. Two men on horseback gallop away, their faces obscured by hats. Sam can't see if it's Clyde Atwood or some other assailants. Evelyn clenches her fists. Do you think they shot Amos? Sam's jaw sets. Let's hope not. They wait tense until the riders are gone. Sam grabs his revolver. Stay here. Lock the door, he tells Evelyn. She nods, though reluctance is etched across her features. In the darkness, Sam makes his way down the boarding house stairs, stepping carefully into the street. The telegraph office door is ajar, and Sam finds Amos slumped on the floor, bleeding from a wound in his shoulder. He's pale and trembling, but alive. Sam quickly checks for more threats. None appear. He kneels beside Amos, pressing a hand to the wound. Who did this? Amos coughs, grimacing. A man with a scar on his chin. Said he'd kill me if I didn't give him the telegraph messages. I told him I'd sent one to Santa Fe. He got mad. Sam curses under his breath. We'll get you a doc. Hang on. He helps Amos to his feet, half dragging him to a building with a makeshift sign, Dr. Harold Whitby. Sam pounds on the door, and a bleary-eyed doctor opens it. Help him. Sam barks, guiding Amos inside. Dr. Whitby quickly lays Amos on a table, examining the gunshot wound. Might need to get the bullet out, the doctor mutters, grabbing his instruments. Sam steps back into the street, scanning for more trouble. It's quiet, but he knows it's the quiet that signals lurking danger. Clyde Atwood is here, and that means Evelyn isn't safe. Returning to the boarding house, he raps softly on Evelyn's door, telling her what happened. Her face goes white. If they know about the telegram, they must know we're here, she whispers. Sam nods grimly. We can't wait. Let's pack our things. We'll ride out tonight. Despite her injured ankle, Evelyn agrees. They quickly gather their meager belongings. While Margaret Hilburn protests them leaving at such a late hour, Sam just presses a coin into her hand and thanks her for her hospitality. Within minutes, they're mounted up and riding out of Red Mesa by moonlight, their hearts pounding with each step of the horses. The open desert lies before them, a vast, treacherous escape route with no guarantees. They make good progress under the moonlit sky, heading toward Fort Garrison. Dawn finds them exhausted, but still pressing forward. Evelyn's ankle is throbbing badly, and Sam can see how she struggles to keep upright in the saddle. Suddenly, a distant cloud of dust appears behind them. Sam squints, heart hammering, expecting more outlaws. But as the riders draw closer, Sam notices the glint of badges and shining rifles. Among them is a tall figure on a black stallion, wearing a Marshal's star on his vest and sporting a thick mustache. Sam recognizes the face from Evelyn's photograph, Ulysses Lancaster. Evelyn inhales sharply. Papa, she breathes. A wave of relief washes over Sam. He can hardly believe it. Lancaster must have received the telegram in time to gather a few marshals and come riding out to meet them. Within moments, the riders circle around Sam and Evelyn. Ulysses Lancaster dismounts, rushing to his daughter. "Evelyn!" he exclaims, a mixture of worry and anger in his voice. What are you doing out here? She tears up, leaning into his arms. I overheard the Blanchard boys planning an ambush. They saw me and I had to run. Papa, they're after me. They shot a telegraph operator and they... Lancaster's gaze shifts to Sam, who dismounts carefully. You must be Sam Morgan, he says. I got your wire. Sam gives a short nod, feeling an odd mix of respect and intimidation. Marshal Lancaster is everything the stories say, imposing, steadfast, and tough as iron. Yes, sir. I did what I could. Lancaster's stern face softens a fraction. You have my gratitude. I'm in your debt. Sam feels a faint flush, but simply nods. You might not want to linger, Marshal. We nearly got caught by Clyde Atwood's crew last night. They'll be on our trail. Lancaster signals to his men who form a protective perimeter. We're heading to Fort Garrison. Captain Rawlings expects us. We'll keep Evelyn safe there. She needs medical attention. One of Lancaster's deputies, a grizzled man named Tobias Green, notices Evelyn's limp. He helps her onto his horse, handling her gently. Sam watches uncertain of his next move, now that she's in her father's care. Come with us, Morgan Lancaster says, motioning him to join the group. You're part of this now, and I suspect we'll need your help. The Blanchard boys won't take this lying down. We aim to finish them once and for all. Sam glances at Evelyn, who gives him a hopeful smile. All right. Sam agrees, realizing that riding off alone now might just lead him into another ambush. If there's going to be a showdown, he'd rather be with the Marshals than by himself. They set out as a united front, riding under the banner of law and justice, but the desert offers no easy roads. Sam can feel the tension crackling in the air. The final confrontation with Clyde Atwood and the Blanchard boys is inevitable. Fort Garrison is a humble military post on the edge of the territory, a handful of wooden structures and a tall stockade fence. A small cavalry detachment is stationed here under the command of Captain James Rawlings, a firm but fair officer rumored to have fought in the Indian Wars. Lancaster Sam and the Marshals arrive at midday. A group of soldiers opens the gates, allowing them entry. Evelyn is immediately taken to the infirmary, where a medic begins treating her snake bite and rebandaging her ankle. Marshal Lancaster and Sam head to the fort's main office for a meeting with Captain Rawlings. The office is a sparse room with a large desk, a single shelf of ledgers, and a territorial map pinned to the wall. Rawlings greets them with a curt nod. Marshal Lancaster, we've been expecting you, Rawlings says. Word reached us that the Blanchard boys plan to attack a convoy carrying seized gold. We're on high alert. Lancaster exchanges a grave look with Sam. They might also be aiming for this fort if they think the gold is stored here. Sam steps forward, recalling Evelyn's words. Sir, if Clyde Atwood is part of the Blanchard boys, we can expect a cunning assault. They've been tracking Evelyn. Rawlings furrows his brow. We've fortified the walls and posted extra guards, but if they have someone feeding them information, they might know our weaknesses. As he says this, Sam picks up on a subtle glance exchanged between Rawlings and another officer standing in the corner, a Lieutenant Bennett with sharp, calculating eyes. A flicker of suspicion stirs in Sam's gut. Lancaster outlines a plan. The cavalry and marshals will patrol the surrounding region, searching for any sign of the outlaws. Meanwhile, they'll keep Evelyn locked safely in the fort until she recovers enough to testify against anyone who's captured. Sam, wanting to ensure Evelyn's safety, volunteers to stand guard. Lancaster agrees. That might be best. You've got her trust, he says. But something is off. Sam can't shake the sense that danger lurks closer than they realize. Later that evening, as he's walking the fort's perimeter, he hears voices in the stable. Quietly, he slips inside. Lit by a single lantern, Lieutenant Bennett is speaking in hushed tones to none other than Clyde Atwood. Sam's heart pounds. A traitor among the ranks. "You'd better do your job, Bennett," Clyde growls. "If the marshals find out I'm here, it's curtains. I want the location of the gold and the best way inside this fort." Bennett glances around nervously, not seeing Sam, hidden behind stacks of hay bales. "I'll leave the main gate unlocked at midnight. Keep your men quiet. In return, I get 10% of the loot, and you make sure the blame falls elsewhere." Sam nearly lets out a curse. This is bigger than he thought. He slips away, heart racing to inform Lancaster. But as he nears the marshal's quarters, Sam is grabbed from behind, a hand clamped over his mouth. He struggles, knocking over a barrel. The commotion draws the attention of a pair of cavalry guards who rush to investigate. Fortunately, they see Sam in trouble and come to his aid, scaring off the assailant, one of Bennett's cronies. Sam gasps for breath, telling the guards to fetch Marshal Lancaster immediately. When Lancaster arrives, Sam quickly explains what he overheard. The marshal's eyes darken with rage. "Bennett's a traitor," he growls. That explains how the Blanchard boys always stay one step ahead. They formulate a plan, let Bennett think his scheme is still secret, then catch the outlaws red-handed at midnight. Preparations are made in hushed secrecy. Trustworthy soldiers and marshals are positioned around the fort. Evelyn, still weak, is locked safely in an interior room. Sam remains close by, rifle at the ready. Just before midnight, Bennett slips out to the main gate. True to his word, he unlatches it quietly, leaving it slightly ajar. Sam watches from a shadowed vantage point on the catwalk. In the moonlight, he sees the outlines of riders creeping closer. Clyde Atwood leads them. As soon as they cross the threshold, aiming for the fort's armory, where the confiscated gold is rumored to be stored. Lancaster gives a low whistle, the prearranged signal. Lights flare as lamps are uncovered. Rifle barrels gleam from every angle. "Drop your weapons!" Lancaster roars. "You're surrounded." For a moment, it looks like they'll surrender. But then Atwood snarls, firing a wild shot that sends the defenders ducking. A fierce firefight erupts. Soldiers and marshals lay down a volley of gunfire while the outlaws scatter returning shots. The courtyard turns into a thunderous battlefield of muzzle flashes and yelling. Sam takes careful aim, picking off two outlaws who rush toward the stables. He sees Bennett trying to slip away in the chaos, but a cavalry officer intercepts him, knocking him to the ground. The largest threat remains Clyde Atwood, who seeks cover behind an overturned wagon. Sam climbs down from the catwalk, weaving through the chaos. He spots Atwood, reloading eyes flicking around for an escape route. Meanwhile, Lancaster steps into the open, calling out, "Atwood, it's over. Throw down your gun." Atwood responds with a bullet that nearly takes off Lancaster's hat. Sam curses returning fire. The bullet grazes Atwood's arm, forcing him to drop behind the wagon again. Sensing the standoff can't last, Sam sprints behind a stack of crates flanking Atwood from the side. From his new vantage, Sam yells, "Put it down, Atwood! You've got nowhere to run!" Atwood snarls, rising up and aiming his revolver at Sam. But Sam is faster. One well-placed shot catches Atwood in the shoulder. He collapses, dropping his weapon. Blood seeps through his shirt. The sound of gunfire diminishes as the rest of the outlaws realize they're trapped. Soldiers move in, rounding them up. Bennett is dragged forward in chains while Atwood clutches his wounded arm, glaring daggers at Sam. Lancaster surveys the scene, breathing hard. "It's over," he declares. Morning light reveals the aftermath of the midnight battle. A courtyard littered with spent shells, bullet-riddled wagons and subdued outlaws. Soldiers and marshals work together to restore order. The traitorous Lieutenant Bennett is placed under guard, awaiting court-martial. Clyde Atwood and his gang face immediate criminal charges. Evelyn emerges from her secure room, limping but defiant. She seeks out Sam, who's helping a couple of deputies bandage minor wounds. Seeing her, he sets aside the bandages and meets her halfway. She searches his face, relief flooding her features. "They said you took down Atwood," she says, smiling despite her fatigue. Sam shrugs. "He gave me no choice." Evelyn steps closer. "I'm just so grateful you were here. I can't imagine what would have happened if you hadn't rescued me on that trail, or stayed by my side through all this." He notices the tears welling in her eyes and gently places a hand on her shoulder. "You're safe now. Your father's here, and the Blanchard boys have lost their best chance." Marshal Lancaster appears behind them, nodding his approval. "Morgan, I owe you more than I can express," he says, extending his hand. Sam shakes it firmly. "If not for you, I'd have lost my daughter, and the Blanchard boys might still be wreaking havoc." Sam dips his head, still uncomfortable with praise. "Just did what was needed, Marshal." Lancaster turns to Evelyn, placing a hand on her back. "I want you to return to Santa Fe with me where you'll be safe. But if you'd rather remain out here for a while longer..." He glances meaningfully at Sam. For a moment, Evelyn looks torn. She glances at Sam, who forces a small smile. "You belong with your father," he says quietly. Her eyes fill with a complicated mix of sadness and understanding. She's a marshal's daughter with a sense of duty and a life in Santa Fe. Sam is a free-roaming cowboy who can't seem to settle down in one place. "I'll come home, Papa," she finally says, "at least for now." Lancaster nods, relieved. Then the marshal rests a hand on Sam's shoulder. "If you ever find yourself in Santa Fe, come see us. A man like you shouldn't roam forever without a place to call home. And if you're looking for honest work, the marshal's service can always use good men." Sam nods, though he's unsure if he's ready for such a life. He's a man used to drifting, but the idea of belonging somewhere tugs at his heart in a way he's never felt before. Evelyn limps forward, surprising Sam by giving him a gentle hug. "Thank you," she whispers, voice thick with emotion. "For everything." He swallows hard, returning the embrace briefly. "Take care of yourself, Evelyn Lancaster." With that, father and daughter depart, leaving Sam standing in the courtyard, battered but unbroken. The wind rustles through the fort, carrying the promise of a new dawn. And for the first time in a long while, Sam wonders if maybe he has a future beyond the lonely trails. A week later, Sam finds himself back on the open range, a fresh wind at his back, and Daisy plodding faithfully beneath him. After ensuring the outlaws were securely locked away, he declined Lancaster's offer of a permanent position for now. The road still calls to him, and he needs time to clear his head. He's heard that Evelyn's ankle is healing nicely, and that she's resumed assisting her father with clerical work in the marshal's office. She might soon become a deputy herself, an idea that both excites and terrifies her father. Sometimes, Sam imagines what it would be like to ride into Santa Fe, knock on the marshal's door, and see her standing there, healthy and smiling. A part of him wants that, more than he's willing to admit. But for now, he carries the memory of that rescue on the desert trail, the shock of discovering she was a marshal's daughter in disguise, and the bond they forged in the heat of danger. The West is a place of endless horizons, where a man's destiny can change in a single moment. And while Sam Morgan might be riding away today, he knows that roads have a funny way of crossing again. Perhaps one day soon, he'll find his way back to Santa Fe, to Evelyn, and to the kind of life he never dared to dream he could have. And there you have it, an untamed journey through the scorching deserts and raging gunfights of the Old West, where a solitary cowboy's compassion changed the course of fate. Sam Morgan's decision to rescue an unknown traveler from a rattlesnake bite set off a chain of events that tested the limits of honor, love, and loyalty. In the end, Marshal Lancaster got his daughter back. The Blanchard boys faced justice, and a cowboy without roots discovered that sometimes the greatest distance you can travel is toward a place you might finally call home. If you've been captivated by the grit, the gun smoke, and the raw emotion of this Western drama, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more frontier adventures. Share this video with fellow Western enthusiasts, and stay tuned for our next tale of courage and legend in the whole Wild West.